Hi guys, Abby. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome if you're new. Today I'm going to be doing my monthly Get Ready With Me. So every month I pick products that I'm going to try to focus on for the month in conjunction with project pans and things. And then usually the video after that I will sit down and do a Get Ready With Me using all those products. And I talk about kind of what's going on with me, some topics that I want to talk about but maybe not necessarily would fit in a video of themselves. So let's go ahead and get into it. I have some unwanted visitors right now. Like, my skin has been clear for a while and I don't know where these came from all of a sudden. So I'm going to be doing a whole video about this primer, the e.l.f. Poreless Putty Primer. Testing it out against another e.l.f. primer that I really like before this one even came out. So I'm just seeing if this actually does anything or if it's any better or different than the other one. But my tests so far, spoiler alert, it doesn't really do anything. And I have never not used primer. It was weird. No, I've never I don't think I've ever worn makeup without primer because I just thought that was something you had to do. And I just never questioned it. Other people have said that they think it's, you know, a scam or whatever, you don't really need it. So I guess today I'm going to talk about a recent cruelty-free topic, debate, whatever you want to call it. And then I'll talk a little bit about, I guess, what I've been up to, and then how Thien is going, because I guess I give updates on him on these videos. I don't know. And he watches these, so howdy. If you ever see him in the comments, his name is Huang Grenade, so that'd be him. It also brings out dry patches quite like a stick foundation. Also, I have been watching, binge watching the past 3 or 4 days Beverly videos. If you don't follow her and you're into true crime, definitely go check her out. I mean, I wouldn't say I'm that big of a fan of true crime, but I think it's interesting. And a lot of time I just listen and kind of look over now and then to see what her makeup looks like, but she doesn't talk about how she's doing it. She just does it while she's talking. So, but some of those stories got me messed up. Like last night I was watching the one about the toy box killer right before bed, and I was like, that's probably not a good decision. I kind of wonder why people are into the true crime and serial killers and stuff, but I think it's just because it's so far off. Kind of how people like those trashy reality shows or watching these multi-million-dollar mansion house tours or whatever, it's because it's so far off from anything they've experienced. So it's kind of you know, something interesting. So with the cruelty-free thing I was talking about, lately I don't really know. I don't have my full opinions formed on this. I kind of want to read more about it, but I just want to kind of bring it up because I just started noticing it today. I follow a lot of the big cruelty-free bloggers, the ones who run the cruelty-free brand lists and that kind of thing. I don't know if I want to mention anybody specifically, but some of them, not all of them, have been talking recently about, so if you don't know, you're not into cruelty-free makeup like I am, just basically the rundown is that if you sell cosmetics in mainland China, in person in stores, I think it doesn't count if it's only online, but if you sell cosmetic products basically of any type, then they are subject to post-market and or pre-market animal testing because the government wants to make sure that the products are safe, blah, blah, blah. And there's been kind of a debate about it because obviously China is a ginormous country, huge market, brands want to sell there, but that would have made them lose their cruelty-free status. And some of the testing they could avoid, some they couldn't, but basically these bloggers are saying now, they've done more research, that testing in China is extremely rare, not likely to happen. So there's a lot of brands like Wet n Wild, Physicians Formula, those kind that, I'm getting setting powder out. Those kinds of brands that weren't considered cruelty-free because they started selling in China, they're now considering them to be cruelty-free. But that doesn't necessarily, they're not necessarily saying that every brand that sells in China is cruelty-free, because they're not. Selling in China is not the only thing that makes a brand not cruelty-free, if that makes sense. But they've all been I know this is going to be unpopular, and I'm yeah, I get, I kind of understand where they're coming from, but it just kind of, something doesn't seem right to me with all that. I'm not saying that they're wrong, I'm just saying that it seems a little weird. because I posted a video a couple weeks ago, I think, I don't remember when it was, talking about why most influencers aren't cruelty-free. And you know, what I kind of skated around, I shouldn't have done that, but I kind of skated around that it was because that they just wanted the money, because obviously there's a lot of money in cosmetics, and a lot of brands aren't cruelty-free, so they want that cash money. But I feel like there's something related to that with this, like, I don't know, it's just bizarre to me. I am kind of waiting out Logical Harmony's response to all this, because she is the one that I trust the most. I don't like any, like, she wasn't included when I said there was a bunch of influencers talking about this. Like, I haven't heard her give a statement at all about it. But she's the one that I trust the most to, you know, give accurate information and do research, even though I'm not saying that the other ones don't, but I just trust her the most because I think her list is like the most strict. So I guess I'll just wait for her response on all of that. I mean, like, you should kind of form your own opinions, but she has a lot more contacts, a lot more experience than I do, so. But she has a lot more contacts, a lot more experience than I do, and she knows people like high up in brands that can, you know, like, talk about that kind of stuff. Lately I've been doing bronzer, like, over my nose bridge. I kind of like that. Just lightly though, like, try not to go too much with it. Just let me know in the comments what you think about all this. What got me talking about it today was Fira posted about it. She posted a video, like, somebody, I don't know why I didn't follow her on Twitter, but somebody else, like, retweeted what she posted today, and she was talking about, like, her opinions on it, and she happened to talk to other people, and I'm not saying that, like, they have all the answers or they're right or wrong. I'm just kind of leery, personally, as to what I think about that. So I posted a lot on here about my small business and my Etsy shop and all that stuff, and I'm kind of, I don't know, I go, like, there's good days and bad days with that. So last week I did absolutely record sales with mostly face masks, but also this whole month of July I was running a sale, and that obviously really helped. So I made, like, more money in that week than I have, like, most months since I've started doing this, which is great. But I lost momentum, which Etsy is really, really finicky. Because I lost momentum because I had to, like, all of my shipping times were set to 1 business day. That was the shortest time that you can do it. And obviously people are more likely to buy stuff that ships faster. I was able to keep up with that for most of the week until I ran out of one of the pieces that I need for the masks, and I had to wait for it to come in the mail. And then I had to put my processing time up, and I even had to message some customers and be like, hey, really sorry, but it's going to take longer than I expected, because I sold so many. Like, I did not really expect to sell that many, or I definitely would have had supplies to make all of them if I had expected that. But since I had to increase my processing time, not as many people were viewing my things, because you can, when you search on Etsy, you can filter by, like, processing time and all that. So I was having to put it at 1 to 3 days, but they don't have an option for 1 to 3 days. It's either 1 day or 1 to 2 days. And then everybody else just kind of, you know, you don't get seen unless the person just doesn't have that filter set on the search. So my sales dropped off dramatically, like, earlier this week. So I'm filming this on Friday. You're probably seeing this Tuesday. That kind of stinks. I was hoping that it would kind of stay like that, because with the face masks and everything, like, they're not going away anytime soon because people can't follow the rules. And I've been releasing new products too, and, like, other stuff besides masks, because I obviously didn't start with masks. I just kind of got thrown into it. Like, people were, like, I sew, so everybody was like, hey, you gonna make masks? I was like, I mean, I guess. And that's been paying my bills for the past long time. Why did I just open this brow pencil and try to shake it? Oh boy. But Etsy has been having a lot of problems lately. Like, a couple days ago, I follow a lot of people who are Etsy shop owners and, like, small business owners and stuff on Twitter, and they were saying that one night this past week, if you buy, so you can buy Etsy, like, print shipping labels and stuff straight from the Etsy website if you're a seller, or I use a third party just because it's easier. But people that used Etsy was charging them, like when they would buy a shipping label, it would take off the decimal point. So if they were buying a label for like $3.50, it would charge them $350. And people were like, weren't realizing it until they were getting like phone calls from their bank saying, you're overdrawing like $10,000. So it's like, how does that even happen? And I have my Shopify website, which is an alternative to Etsy that I have a lot more control over and also has less fees, which I talked about in a previous video if you're interested in that. The problem is I can't just go switch over to Shopify because I don't like Etsy anymore. Like, Etsy has the upper hand in that because they are a search engine. So people can find, like, they know they can go to Etsy and find a handmade item, whereas it's unlikely that somebody is going to Google and find my products for what they're looking for. Unless my shop was like huge, you know. So I mean, I barely make any sales on my Shopify. The only time I make sales on there is like from Facebook when I post on my business Facebook page. And it's most people that I know, like, or that I'm just like acquaintances with or whatever, like friends of the family. So I don't have a big enough customer base to justify leaving Etsy altogether because it's not gonna happen, which stinks. But I would have to, like, if I wanted to do that, I would have to pay for ads and for like the Instagram, Facebook ads and that kind of stuff, and I can't afford that. That'd be crazy because I have to do them constantly. And they don't even make that many sales either because I've done them before. And I'll get like 2,000 people that see the post. Maybe one person likes it and like one person clicks on it. And I've never made a sale from them, so I can't afford to pay $5 a day for no sales. Like, it's not feasible. Plus, Facebook is really not the audience for my products either. Like, Facebook's user base is generally older, which I'm not saying that older people wouldn't like my products. That's just generally not the demographic that really cares about like eco-friendly and that kind of thing. Most of my, like when I go to in-person events, most of my customers are younger. But there's more to this Etsy, like cruelty-free stitchery kind of fiasco I've got going on here. Don't know what's going on with my brows, but I don't hate it. I did recently get new brow products, but I'm hesitant to use them for the first time on camera because I have to film a lot more videos after this one. I think I'm going to stick out selling on Etsy for the time being. I mean, unless they really screw up and, you know, something happens, but I just can't afford to not be on there. Because, yeah, they take a lot of fees, but those fees are basically advertising fees, you know? Like, Shopify doesn't do anything to advertise you. You have to pay them to advertise you. There's also stuff I want to try, like email stuff. However, I'm kind of hesitant to also do too much. Eyeshadow is going to be fun because I've got this big honking palette to drag over here. But, I mean, I can't say that I didn't expect being self-employed to be up and down because, you know, it's obviously not, nobody's like paying me per hour, you know. Does this primer look cakey? What happened? Like, I always apply it with a brush now, but I don't know what's going on, why the brush is not looking right. But I think that's gonna save my butt. Well, I'm taking a break next week, like this coming week. That's why I'm pre-filming. But after that, I think what's gonna save me with the sales is I'm gonna start making children's masks, and if kids are going back to school, they are gonna have to wear masks. So, which I think is kind of funny. So, I'm like a very pro-mask on social media. I was kind of like expecting people to, like, you know, you post something and you expect how people are gonna react to it. I was like, people are just gonna be like, oh, you're on the pro-mask because you're selling them. I'm like, no, I'm pro-mask because they work. I saw somebody, I was like, you know, why would you sell masks if you weren't for it? But then I saw a Twitter highlight or whatever that was talking about this guy. I don't remember what state he was in, it doesn't really matter, but he said that he thought the masks were a hoax and all that stuff, but he was making a killing selling masks. So it was like, well, I mean, at least people are wearing them. I'm using my shadows from Klarity Cosmetics. They just dropped a palette today. Like, well, don't have any money. And I said I wanted some Lethal Cosmetics eyeshadows, and they are having a sale today. I'm like, well, that's great. I can't afford it. I guess I don't need it. But I am going to be doing a video today talking about how I've been paying off my debt. So I used to do a lot of videos about that if you've been watching for a while, and I kind of slowed down because you know, trying to get back into it. So check out that video, it'll be up next week. But that's why I don't have any money right now, because it's not like I didn't make any, but I'm just trying to like pay off my debt, because I'm trying to be debt free before we move, which is a good segue into so in these Get Ready With Me's I've been kind of updating about Thien and where he's at. So Thien is my kind of fiance. It's complicated. He has been in training for the military, so he left right after I left my job, which was right after everything started in March. So he had a heck of a time like getting there. They delayed his, like, when he actually left, and then he was delayed like getting, like, basically all the flights were delayed getting there because it was right, you know, it was in March where everything was just starting to shut down. Oh, I built that way too much. Okay, need to pay attention. But he had to wait once he got there. He didn't even start for like months when he got to the base where he was going to be training. Just because they were like, well, first they were like quarantining everybody, but then they were kind of waiting, and for a little while there they weren't even accepting new recruits, which was like extremely rare for the military to not accept recruits for anything. So he waited for a while and finally started basic training, and then he was supposed to graduate. I don't know if that's been since my last video, I think. I don't remember. But anyway, so he was supposed to graduate on a Friday, I think, and then on the Thursday before that he was like, hey, I'm going to my next base for AIT, which is like, basic training is basically is the training for everybody no matter what your job is, but then AIT is more for like your specific job, like what you're gonna be doing. Most YouTubers that do videos like this do one eye while they're talking and then do the other one off camera, but if I do that, I'm gonna forget what I did. So shadows, I have to like tap off my brush. I usually never have to do that with eyeshadows, but these, if you don't, it's gonna be everywhere. What was I saying? Oh, but he basically left a day early before he was supposed to graduate because people were like kind of getting stuck there waiting for sterile flights to their AIT location because they had been isolated for, you know, the entire time. They did not want to put them back on like civilian aircraft and have them like mixed back into the public and then have to quarantine them again and all that stuff. So, because obviously there's a lot of army bases that were needing those planes. So he got there, and then it was about 3 weeks and he finally started his actual training. So he's like doing that now. I think this is his second week like actually doing things like, you know, studying and all that. A lot of his stuff, he said, is book work, which, I mean, if that was me, I'd be cool with, because I'm not like a physical activity kind of person. He should find out soon where he's going to be stationed. And our plan is that whenever he's able to come home, which we're thinking probably not going to be until Christmas, just because I'm not going to say any like other, basically Christmas / December-ish. I'm not going to say any specific dates just for our like privacy and all that stuff, and nothing's final yet. Whenever he gets to come home, we are planning on getting married, and then have to figure out how I'm getting to wherever he's stationed, which is going to be quite difficult. If we were already married, then they would pay for me to go to wherever he's at. But since we weren't married when he enlisted, then we're going to have to pay for it, which the big thing with that is if he's overseas or not. So there are bases here in Kentucky, you know, that could happen, which would be easy for me. But if he gets stationed, you know, in Asia somewhere, then that might be cost a little bit more to get there than just driving a couple hours down the road. Just wanted to use this green in this palette, but it didn't turn out that way. Just kind of winging it. So if he's stationed in the States, then, well, except for like Hawaii, you know, like the contiguous US, then it'll be super easy for me to just move everything. Not super easy, but you know what I mean, easier than overseas, to move everything and keep my Etsy shop and all that. But if he's sent to, you know, especially like somewhere in Asia or Europe or whatever, then it's gonna be hard, and I just think that it will cost more than my inventory and stuff is worth to get it over there. But I also don't want to not go because of my business. Like, it's not that big of a deal that I would want to stay and, you know, do that. I'm not making that much money. What that means that I'm gonna need to figure something else out, you know, for money. So I guess during my break this coming week, I'm gonna be working on stuff that I had been kind of thinking about but hadn't really had time to, you know, think more about, I guess. Like other stuff that I could do online. I don't want to say that I want YouTube to be my job, because I mean that would be cool, but I just don't think it's gonna happen that quickly. It'd be cool if it did, but you know. I don't know if you guys have noticed, if you watch me a lot, if I've been like improving my videos. I don't know. Like, it's hard to tell with your own. Like, it's easier to judge other people's videos, you know? When it's your own, you're like, eh. So I did like a halo eye sort of deal. I think I'm gonna put this J Kissa e.l.f. duo thing that's TSUKI to my heart, and I'm gonna use the What a Pity Smile, the white-ish kind of one. I wipe most of the product off, and then I'm just gonna put this in the center also. Just give it a little extra sparkle, even though you're probably not gonna be able to see it on camera. And I gotta keep my eyelids kind of down because this stuff's kind of like glue. I did not really do much because that shadow is already... I also may have rubbed the other shadow off, so just be careful with this stuff. I have this one eyebrow hair on the side that no matter if I use brow gel or what, but it just points straight down, and then I'll like kind of fix it, and then I'll look a few minutes later and it's pointed down. I'm like, ugh. I especially don't want this to be wet while I'm trying to curl my lashes, because that'll be a disaster. These shadows blend so well. Like, I want all their eyeshadows. They're so good. The only thing with them is they're really powdery, but they come with a lot more product, like I think double the product of other brands. Alright, so here is the finished eye look done. Finished and done mean the same thing, Abby, hello. That mascara is on the way out, because every time I put it on, like as soon as I'm done, my lashes just go, yeah. Worn this one in a while. It's NYX Lingerie Push-Up in Embellishment. Close to what I was going for. It's okay. So I'll have to see where it goes from here, because we don't know until later. Like, he's supposed to find out tentatively, but from what I've learned from being in an Army family for a long time, the Army changes their mind a lot. So I'm not holding my breath for us to actually be going to wherever they tell him in a couple weeks, you know. So it'll be nice if it's in the States, but also I love to travel, and I, you know, talked about on the channel, before I met Thien, I wanted to, well, re-met if you haven't seen that video, but I wanted to have a van and like travel the States and, you know, maybe go overseas. So, you know, I feel like I don't want to pass up an opportunity to be able to like go live in another country. Like that would be super cool. But I just would have to adapt what I do for a job, you know. But that was it for today. Let me know what you guys think, and you can go ahead and click up here to catch my latest video, or click up here to watch my last Get Ready With Me last month. And don't forget to like and subscribe so that my face can be in your subscription box every Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday at noon Eastern Standard Time. All my social media and everything, as well as my business, will be linked in the description box, as well as any products that I used. I'm going to list in there just because I didn't talk about them in the video. So I will catch you guys in the comments and in the next video. Bye.